If you could tell us a little bit about yourself and what motivated you to run for office.
Okay, I grew up here in Lee Summit. We moved here in '67. Lifelong resident. Married a lady I'm in the class of '81. My wife is in the class of '83. I've got two older children by my first marriage. They live out in Longmont, Colorado, 28 and 26. And then we have a set of twins that were 2017 graduates of Lee Summit West. And they're now playing soccer at Rockhurst. My wife is a 27-year retiree of the school district, all in one building, really all in two classrooms in one building, Westview Elementary. What made me decide to get into school board was I had this thought when she was teaching, because 2 or 3 years prior to her retirement, there was some stuff going on, and I had the thought of running for school board, but it just wasn't appropriate at the right time for me to get into school board politics. So she retired in '18, so this is an opportunity for me to get involved. And I have been not so vocal, but I have been critical of some of the actions of the board and some of the decisions made by the board members. And it just became clear to me that either I get involved and have a seat at the table and try to help get it back to where it once was, or shut up. And so I'm choosing to get involved. I'm not saying I have all the answers, but I do want a seat at the table.
Okay. What experiences have helped you prepare for the professionalism and leadership required of school board members?
In my daytime job, in my paid position, I work for an insurance broker, and I work in risk management. And I work with the clients in satisfying recommendations made by the carriers. And you know, that's a balance that has to be met. A lot of times the carriers want a lot of different things, a lot of times at great expense of the client. The client doesn't have the financial resources to make that happen. So really it's my job to kind of bring the two together and kind of reach a happy medium, so to speak.
Okay. How does our district maintain and continue to improve its services and reputation?
Repeat that, Mike.
How does our district maintain and continue to improve its services and reputation?
Well, we would probably look to past success, what has worked for us in the past, and look at the challenges that lie ahead and try to find some area in between to continue the services and, you know, with the challenges in mind.
Okay. The R7 district bylaws clearly define the relationship between the school board and R7 staff. Please describe how you envision your working relationship with staff.
You know, again, my wife being a retiree and me seeing firsthand frustration that teachers had with certain board decisions, actions. You know, it would be my hope that I would want to get as much staff involvement, as much staff input as I could garner, and then from there work and to improve.
Okay. Please summarize your qualifications and level of financial expertise appropriate to govern an approximate $300 million school district budget.
Total transparency, very limited in the financial side of it. I do work with accounts, with producers that have very large books of business. Our biggest is probably $1.3 billion. I understand the economics, but as far as the nuts and bolts and getting into the weeds, that is something that I feel like I could adapt to and learn, but that's no knowledge that I have today.
Okay. What is your approach to conflict resolution among board members?
You know, again, drawing on my professional experience, you know, you have two people that disagree, and you want there to be one direction, one goal. You know, you just try to bring the two sides together and try to get them to understand the other side and understand that it's just, you know, we're not always going to get our way, and there has to be some give and take.
Okay. Please describe a group deliberation experience in which you held a minority opinion but were ultimately successful in reaching a consensus.
Read that one more time.
Okay. Please describe a group deliberation experience in which you held a minority opinion but were ultimately successful in reaching a consensus.
The only thing, Mike, that really comes to my mind is, you know, a lot of times in a family of three women, I mean, I try to keep 1 foot, and I have to be careful here. I try to keep 1 foot founded in the family, and make sure that, you know, the ideals of the family and the morals of the family are held intact. And a lot of times that surrounds what the girls wear, and I'm more successful in, and I'm choosing my words as carefully as I can here. I mean, I don't know what other experience. There's experiences that I have in my day job where I see things that need to occur. It's not popular, but again, with the idea of what the carrier wants, and, you know, they're the ones writing the check, this is what needs to happen. And a lot of times I'm successful in that respect. Sometimes I'm not.
Okay. Please explain the roles of district leadership, superintendent and school board, with respect to the broader community.
Well, I believe that the superintendent to board relationship, and back the other direction, is a checks and balance. I think that the board should be in place to keep the superintendent's vision in focus and on track. And I think that the superintendent coming back towards the board has an obligation to recognize the board and the constituency and the general public, and it's a give and take. It's a checks and balance.
Okay. Current data provided by our school district shows certain subsets of students are underperforming in math, science, and other categories. How do you interpret this data and propose the LSR7 board address it?
And I've seen the data. I've seen the stats. And I would need really, and I appreciate the publication of those statistics, but I would need to get a better understanding of how that data was derived of. And I think it's somewhat reckless to be posting statistics to fit a narrative. I'm not saying that those stats aren't accurate or aren't true, but I would need to do a full analysis and a deep dive of those statistics. And if found to be accurate, then address those specific issues and address how we can close that gap.
Okay. What do you consider major challenges and priorities for the district, and how will you address?
Well, I think the biggest challenge that faces the district is the growth that the district has seen and continues to see. And, you know, the challenge, most immediate challenge, is the passing of the no tax increase bond issue. And if that is the case, and if that turns out to pass, then there's going to be challenges making sure that we've got the right financial stewards monitoring how that money is spent. If that bond issue does not pass, then there's going to be challenges because we still have the same amount of growth, but we have to make changes and we have to adapt to that growth and make tough decisions.
Okay. What do you believe should be a primary focus of the school board and your role as a board member?
I think most immediate, we have to bring a calm back to central office. We have to bring respect back to central office. The last couple years, 3-4 years, the district has taken a real gut punch. And I grew up in this district. It was a very well-respected district. We have a lot of great people in this district. We can return that back. I think we do that by appreciating staff. Again, my wife, 27 years in the classroom, the last 5 years of her career, she just hated it, and she wanted out. And there are a lot of great educators that are leaving the profession based on what a teacher has to go through. So we need to address how we're treating our teachers and our staff and try to turn the table a little bit.
What is your long-term vision for the district?
To manage the growth, you know, growth is always good in a community, so love to experience the continued growth, and at the same time, the district keeping up with that growth. And of course, we talked about gaps in achievements and making sure that, you know, the gaps in achievements, you know, we've got a handle on that, and we're addressing the needs of every student, every ethnic group, every staff member. Yeah.
Okay. Believe it or not, that was all the questions,
it?
Mark. So you've got 20 minutes left? 15, 20? Anything you want to talk about?
You know, and your questionnaire was the first that I was asked to complete, and since then I've been asked to complete half of those more. But you know, my three areas that I'd like to focus on is equity in education, which has kind of morphed into opportunity in education. Equity has a little bit of a ethnic, and it's not all about ethnicity. You know, we need to make sure that every child, regardless of ethnic group, is afforded the same opportunity, and that applies to staff. The second one is financial stewardship. Again, there's been some decisions by the previous boards in hiring and discharge of superintendents and the money spent, and we have got to stop that. We have got to stop that because that money is going to be so important to this district going forward. Last is safe environments, and I first had thought safe schools, but we really need to capture safety on the buses. Our children and all the staff that they're around, that's one aspect. We have got to make sure that they're safe. I've spent my career working with public entities, school districts of all sizes, to mitigate loss. And I am just amazed and floored, and always have been, that school districts do background checks at the time of hire and never again. And in a period of a career, wheels can come off, wires can get crossed, and you have staff that are with students that we have no idea. So protect staff and students from external, of course, the safe schools and secure schools, that's great, but we have to protect them from the inside too. So, and then a subset would be, you know, the breakdown in the family and the effects that that is having on our kids. And unfortunately, it's the school district that gets charged with fixing it. And so we've got to make sure that our early childhood and our parents as teachers programs stay healthy, and that we are in the homes early, detecting issues early, educating parents on what it means to have a child and to raise that child responsibly throughout the 12 years they're going to be in the school district. So those are just a couple of things.